Let's take a walk through the gardens here at Garden Crossings. Hi, I'm Heidi, and today we're going to take a walk through all of the various gardens that we have here at Garden Crossings and just point out some of the plants that are really finding their time to shine. I know a lot of times once August hits, we just kind of start to feeling a little tired, maybe not motivated to be out in the garden. There's a lot of great plants that can help really make our garden feel alive. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of those plants that are really finding their time to shine. Let's go walk through the gardens. If you planted annuals in your garden, I'm sure they're still looking fantastic. And annuals really are, I think, those summer color anchors. They're the plant that is always giving color to a garden bed, while our perennials and our shrubs are cycling through. And I think some of it's that cycling through that makes us feel like our gardens maybe don't look so great, because we're having the plants that have bloomed and now have spent blooms that just look a little tired. So what's looking good in August here in the garden? The butterfly bush. Oh man, and we have got so many monarch butterflies. He's being a little shy there. So many monarch butterflies in our garden. So they love to hang out on these butterfly bush. Now butterfly bush are not a pollinator host plant for the monarch butterflies, but they are a great source of nectar and pollen for them. Here's a Miss Molly, that was a Miss Violet. Both just those nice, perfect size butterfly bushes to add into the garden. Alliums, and I think we're gonna see some better specimens of alliums, but this is the bubble bath. This one was blooming a little bit earlier in the season, but you can see it's a little bit lighter color than maybe the Millennium or Serendipity that you may be more familiar with. Grasses are also starting to put on a little show of color. So you can see here, we've got some of that red showing, and it's starting to put on its plumes a little bit. I believe this one is a Cheyenne Sky. Not a very tall ornamental grass, just kind of a nice 3 to 4 foot variety. But I love how that grass just really adds in motion. Caryopteris, this is the Sunshine Blue. And this one here has got foliage going on right now. But this is one of those late summer bloomers. So this plant has not bloomed yet. You can see the buds. And once it starts blooming, it is going to be just loaded with the most beautiful periwinkle blooms around. There's some more bobblehead allium. The Russian sage also is finding its time to shine here. This is a great drought tolerant plant. This is I think this is Sage Advice. And this is a great plant that a lot of landscapers will use because it's just easy to care for and really from a distance puts on a nice purple show of color. We've got a few more ornamental grasses here. This is the Desert Plains grass. We did a grouping here of 3 of them with some mums in front. So this is going to look really nice, probably another month or so, once those mums start to bloom. But it's that grass, just adding some structure and some motion into this area of the garden. The back there, you're seeing a lot of yellow, and that is the golden ticket privet. And that's just kind of one of those nice splashes of yellow color. Really, we don't get a lot of flower on it. It's more grown just for that foliage. And it adds a pop and helps really break up a lot of the darker greens that we're seeing. Oregano, Drops of Jupiter. This is another one of those chartreuse foliage plants with just a teeny tiny little purple. This is a great plant for pollinators. It does tend to spread a little bit. So if you're looking for a plant that maybe spreads, this is something that would do that. Not that spreading is always a good thing, but it's not always a bad thing either. It just really depends on where you're going in your garden. Got the lantana, and then a little bit of lavender in the background still blooming. Well, this grass is really putting on its seed head show. This is the Niagara Falls. And just look how delicate and how breezy that is here in this summer landscape. Definitely the hardy hibiscus are blooming right now with their huge dinner plate blooms. So that's a great plant for August gardens as well. And the blooms can get up to 8 inches across. So definitely something that you'll see from quite a distance. Got the annuals here again showing off. We've got the Lobellaria. This is the blushing princess with just a little bit of lavender to it. Oh, and it smells so wonderful. Just a nice sweet fragrance. The annuals we have the begonias there, along with some lantana. And those just continue to really anchor the front end of this garden with color all summer long. getting up to our coneflower bed. And I love this area of the garden because when I'm planting coneflowers, I like to plant all the colors. So there is just an array of coneflower color here. And we'll continue to walk past them here in just a minute. But before we do, I want to show you another great plant. This is the Heliopsis bit of honey. This is a long blooming drought tolerant perennial. And it's not deer and rabbit resistant. But if you're looking for a perennial that's really long blooming, the bit of honey is definitely one that will give you color for a better part of your summer season. So a lot of the coneflowers are starting to kind of get past their prime in color. The video we did last month was more colorful, but just look at that, all of those shades. And we're going to leave all these cones on there because those cones provide seeds for birds like the finches and such. So if you're looking to not only attract hummingbirds and butterflies and bumblebees, the coneflowers are also a great source of seed for finches and other small garden birds. We've got a lot of hydrangeas here in the background there. That's the limelight prime in the back, and I'm seeing a monarch butterfly. There's a lot of monarch butterflies that hang out in our gardens. And in part, it's because we have the butterfly house here at Garden Crossings where we raise those monarch butterflies. And so we let them out of the greenhouse and let them come out in the garden. So there's always a flurry of activity with the monarchs in our gardens here. Here's the allium serendipity. And this is another plant that just feels absolutely alive. So much gorgeous color. And man, look at all of the honeybees. These plants, you don't want to get too close because there is just so much hard work going on right now with these pollinators. I often said to Rod, we should have a beehive or raise bees here on the property with all of the flowers. I could just imagine that honey would be so flavorful. So gorgeous plants, a lot of color, and an excellent source for pollinators if you're looking to attract those pollinators into your garden. These are the little lime punch hydrangeas, and they're just starting to color up a little bit from their white to their bright magenta color. This year, because it's been a little bit of a funky, weird year with it being really hot, really humid, it's not really cooled off much yet. I don't know if we're going to get the gorgeous color that we're used to seeing. And I know for a lot of you, especially those of you who garden in the South, it's pretty typical for your hydrangeas to go white to brown. But for us here, that's not a normal. So we'll see if they color up nicely. That one's not doing too bad, but we'll keep you posted on the color of them this season in follow-up videos. But regardless, you can't go wrong with hydrangeas in the garden. They just add so much gorgeous color. This bed here is a persimmon supertunia with a Tierra blue supertunia. And I just love this combination of color, kind of that peachy with the purple. It does really well. One thing though we do have to think about is we do have our bleeding heart in here, our pink diamonds. And the petunias are really getting a little too close. So it's starting to kind of crowd out these dicentra. But these are one of the longest blooming bleeding hearts, or one of the longest blooming flowers, honestly, in our garden. And yes, they are in the right location. They do take full sun. So there are a lot of bleeding hearts that don't take the full sun, but this particular variety is a perfect plant for a full sun garden. The 55-mile-an-hour garden is also really looking great. And the reason it's called what it is, the 55-mile-an-hour garden, is because the cars are just whipping past. So we wanted something to kind of stop people in their tracks, turn their head, and catch their attention as they're driving past and hopefully pulling in. In the 55-mile-an-hour garden, we have the Supertunia Jazzberry, which has quickly become a favorite of ours here at Garden Crossings. And then in the front, we have the Macedonia Gold Dust, and that's just a great splash of yellow. Very underutilized annual, in my opinion, and we use it a ton here at Garden Crossings because we just love how that yellow looks and matches with literally every plant you could plant it with. We've got the Meteor Showers Verbena, which is also great for the butterflies, more sun patiens. Got some awesome sunflowers. These are the Sunfinity sunflowers. This was a new variety for us this year, and we've been in love with them. They just continue to flower all summer long without deadheading or doing anything to them. In this bed, we do have some shrubs for structure, and then we filled it in with annuals while we're waiting on the shrubs to fill out. This here is a quick fire fab hydrangea. And one thing with quick fire fab is the little florets in there have a little bit different look to them than what a lot of the other hydrangeas have. So that's how I can easily identify if it's a quick fire fab hydrangea. A lot of color. So we've got lilacs in here, which is our spring color. We have holly in here, which will be our winter color. So this one will be putting on red berries. This is the only oak leaf hydrangea we have on the property. And when we planted this bed, I said we have to get a Gatsby's pink is what it is. But we have to get an oak leaf hydrangea just so people can see, what oak leaf hydrangeas look like. They're a great native hydrangea variety. Another holly, and here you can see it's starting to put on its berries. So that's what's going to give this bed that winter interest, because obviously when you're creating a garden, you want it to have interest all year long. You don't want to have it just, showing off in the summer. When if you have space, you can also let it show off in the winter as well. We did put some arborvitaes in. This is the Thuya Fluffy. One thing we noticed with these is because we are on the other side of a cornfield, we get a lot of wind that whips through here, and they do tend to get a little bit wind burned. And I think that's what we're seeing in there a little bit with some of that brown, but it recovers nicely. And from a distance, I love the golden foliage. So we'll leave them in. We have some of the pillar. This is the purple pillar Rosa Sharon, which are more tall than what they are wide. Gorgeous blooms on it. So this one here is a little bit later to bloom. It's got the flowers, and look at all these buds. So this will continue to flower well into the fall as long as the weather's warm enough. There's a lot of buds on there, which is lots of potential for more flowers. Heading over to the waterfall garden, we line this baby up with sun patience, and we use a lot of sun patience because we love just the vibrant color that they add into the garden. They're really easy to grow as long as you have a water source. If you don't have a water source, they do get thirsty and they will wilt, and you will know when they are not happy. But if you have a source for water, I really would recommend you trying the sun patience just because they're so easy. They require little to no fertilizer and look fabulous all summer long. You can see a lot of the hydrangeas in the background are done. In the very background there, though, that is a Pinky Winky hydrangea that's probably over 25 years old, and one of the oldest shrubs, along with this weeping, I think that's a cherry, that were in here when we bought the place over 20 years ago. There's not much else actually that was in here. We ripped everything out and have replanted it with different various plants that we have grown over the years. Here we've got a mass planting of the cherry cordial begonias, surefire begonia. I love the dark glossy foliage there of cherry cordial. By the waterfall, we loaded this up with lots of gorgeous color this year. And I honestly think this year we nailed it. Every year we have a little bit of a struggle if the water goes off path, or there's just different things in this area that year after year we find certain plants don't work. But there is nothing in this garden that I can say I don't like. We nailed it. So in the background, we have the Sunfinity sunflowers, although it does look like there's a few of the Suncredible sunflowers poking through. So for the last 2 years, we did the Suncredible sunflowers. This year, we tried Sunfinity for something different. And it looks like there's some seedlings that have come back, which is fine. They're all yellow. That looks great. They handle the wind whipping across the field well. We have it lined with hot pink sun patience. They did great, especially here in the middle of the waterfall. This is always a troublesome spot. So we have the sun patience, but we lined them with the diamond frost euphorbia. And I think that's the ticket. That is what is really doing well this year with the impatiens, is that diamond frost euphorbia. So next year, that will be a plant we will carry into this bed again, because we finally found something that is successful in this area with the sun patiens. A few of the begonias there. The last year we tried the Solera begonias for the first time, and we weren't sure how they were going to do, but they did fantastic. So we decided that this year we needed to do more of them. But the problem is these are covered up by all the sun patiens in front because these guys are a little bit shorter. So next year, if we wanted to, we should probably move these into an area that's not by the sun patiens, because from the road, you can't even see them. As I did mention earlier, we do use the compact variety of sun patiens because the vigorous ones would just be way too big for what we're looking for. Surefire white begonia. I think that's apple brandy coleus, lime time coleus, just to add a little foliage flare. One thing I was noticing is that we have a lot of little coleus seedlings that have come back from last year's plantings. So I thought that was kind of funny that we're just seeing little coleus sprouting up here and there. Asclepias cinderella, look at there, the monarch is on it. That's the host plant for the monarch butterflies. They lay their eggs. The caterpillars eat that plant. That is what's needed for any form of milkweed for the survival of the monarch butterfly. Got the pennisetum grass just blowing in the breeze. This is something we do every year just to give kind of that thriller, that height or that background to this garden bed. And it adds so much fun and so much motion to this space. Behind it, we have a pathway that you can walk through the garden. And we've got the butterfly bush. That's the blue chip junior. And then there's also a row of the going bananas daylilies in there as well. So just a couple areas of mass planting that we do in the waterfall garden. We've got some pennisetum puppy love grass. I love, love, love the plumes of puppy love. Looks really great there with the firelight hydrangea in the background. We've got our sonic bloom weigela starting to put on a little bit more flower. And then on the corner here, this is Itea Little Henry, and this is going to turn fabulous shades of orange and red as the fall continues. So this is really a great little pocket in this garden that has some really fantastic fall color look to it. We're going to head on over to the Proven Winner Signature Garden next, but as we do, I'm showing you the front of the garden center. And what we have going on here in the front of the garden center are our bobo hydrangeas that always put on a fantastic show of color. We have them paired this year with some unplugged blue salvia and then hot pink mini vista supertunias. So that really is giving a very welcoming, bright, cheery look as you drive into the garden center. Around our sign, we did a mass planting of lemon coral sedum, which is bordering this bed. We have the sun patiens white and then the sun patiens purple candy. So even here you can see they're very similar in height. It's always a question when we plant two sun patient colors together if they're going to be a similar height or if we're going to get a lot of that up-down look. But these two are very similar in height and are paired perfectly for just a gorgeous mass of color. Heading over here to the Proven Winners Signature Garden area. Oh man, you'd think we just let out some butterflies, and we haven't. We have a month ago, but lately we haven't. And there is just monarchs everywhere. I mentioned that they like the verbena meteor showers, and they are definitely hanging out on the meteor showers. The other thing they're hanging out on is the argyratum. Look at that. 4 of them just in one little area here. So if you're looking for plants that those butterflies will love, meteor showers and argyratum. And that might actually be the argyratum butterfly, which is a new one we carried this year. And it's known to really attract those butterflies. So that's really fun to see. In the Proven Winner Signature Garden Bed, we also line our rock wall with the lemon coral sedum. We just love how that chartreuse just really pops, and that's annual. Although for some of you, it may come back year after year, depending on what your hardiness zone is. So with this bed, we did a lot with adding plants that would attract the butterflies into this garden space because it's a very important thing here. We've got some gorgeous Rudbeckia, the sun patience, which always just give a constant glow of color. We've got the Tierra Pink Supertunia. Look at those. Don't they create just a gorgeous mess of ground cover? I love the bright pink, and it does well. So a lot of times we talk about the vistas being our petunias for in the ground. But one thing we found is this Tierra Pink is doing just as well as the vistas. Maybe not quite as tall, but definitely doing a great job of doing the ground cover look. Firelight Tidbit hydrangeas. I love the size of those. They're only about 2.5 to 3 foot tall. We'll see. These are actually a little bigger than the one we have closer to the garden center. I'm hoping these actually stay small. Bobo was also supposed to be a 3 foot plant when it was introduced, but now gets up to 4 to 5 foot tall. So I'm hoping Firelight Tidbit does stay more compact as it was originally noted when this variety first came out. Nice yellow there of the Supertunias. We've got on the back side here some of the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry, which we love, paired with the Sun Patience White. And we went heavy with white this year on the back side of this bed because this back side of the bed tended to be an area along the picket fence here that tended to be more wet. And Supertunias did not like being in a wet area. They were getting kind of funky looking, stringy looking, and just weren't looking good. So we decided this year to try the Sun Patience, which love water, on the back side of the bed, and they're doing really well. So you saw we had Supertunia on the front, and they were okay. That's a higher area in the garden, but this is a lower spot, and the Sun Patience are loving it. I also wanted to try a little bit of white here because I love how white glows in the night, and it does. Like the greenhouse casts a little bit of a glow, and then with the moon in the background, it just, these white plants have looked so fantastic here in the garden, even here later on in the season. You can see in the backdrop there's more of those hardy hibiscus with their extra large dinner plate blooms, some more of the ornamental grass. We've got some butterfly bush. We've even got a Caryoptera starting to bloom here. This is one of those iconic fall flowering shrubs. Look at that. Pollinators love it as well. So there's a lot of great things you can add into your garden if you don't already have them that will just bring that August garden back to life and give you color so that you feel like maybe if the garden started to kind of peter out after the heat of the summer, you can rejuvenate it with gorgeous plants that will bring you later season color. I love what we did in this bed this year with alternating the Sun Patience color. Sometimes we're a little hesitant to do this because even though these are the compact series of Sun Patience, we'll get a little bit of that up-down feel because they have a slightly different height to them. But this compact white and the compact, I think this is a purple candy stripe, have very similar heights to them and really did a great job of outlining this bed. Last year we had some Supertunia Midnight in here and it was too dark. It didn't pop. And I didn't want to do all white. I wanted to have a little splash of color. And by alternating that white and that purple together, really, I think, knocked it out of the park as far as the look that I was hoping for in this garden. So this garden here is a trial bed of new perennials. So there's a lot of things in the background we're just trialing right now. Some of them aren't looking so great. Some of them are looking good. But there's a lot that's going to get pulled out of here so that we'll be able to put new things in next year to do some new trials in. And this is why we like to do the trials, is because not all plants are great for all locations. For example, here's a liatris. This is a liatris lavender glow sticks. It's about 3 to 4 foot tall, but you can see it's so tall and so heavy that those spikes, they can't hold themselves up. So it flops open, and that's definitely not a look we like in our garden and not a look that we would want to sell to people, knowing that something like that could happen. Now, I'm not saying it's going to happen in every garden, but if it doesn't perform how we like it to, we don't want to, carry it and have other people experience the same thing. Another thing we're finding is some of these coreopsis are getting a lot of powdery mildew on them. Now, they've flowered, and when they were flowering, they looked really great. So this is an after flower thing that's happening. And I have mentioned several times, it's been very humid this year. So this would be something we should just trim back to get rid of that powdery mildew. Or just something to point out, you may get this, especially if you're in a more humid area. Also, there's a lot of plants that are just kind of tired and dying back. Is it the plant's problem? No, I don't think so. I think it's just the season that we've had. Here's a tall phlox, and it flowered good, and now it's just tired. Needs to get trimmed back. Will it look like this next year? I doubt it. I think it'll look nice next year. It's just, this has been a different growing season for us here in West Michigan with so much humidity and lack of water. So there's always variables when it comes to gardening. So we're going to go ahead and call it a day. We will be doing another follow-up video on all of the various gardens within the property here at Garden Crossing. So stay tuned for that. In the next few days, we'll be featuring the different garden spaces. So there's lots to look at, lots to talk about, and I hope you enjoyed today's video. Thank you for walking through the gardens with me today. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. If you're new to our channel, I welcome you to subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Heidi from Garden Crossings.